What's going on, guys? In today's video, we're going to be talking about the 10 cheapest places to buy a home in the Winston-Salem and surrounding areas. If we haven't met before, my name is Ramon Lomeli. I'm a realtor from the Winston-Salem area, but we've got connections all over the Triad and furthermore, all over the state. Last week, I gave you guys a video about the 3 most luxurious, some of the most expensive neighborhoods in all of the Triad. And this week, I was like, you know what, let's tone it down a little bit because some of the clients that were reaching out to me were saying, hey, that's all well and nice and those are beautiful homes, but how about something for the people that got a budget? Now, I did a ton of research for this video and I brought you 10 towns or 10 areas that I feel that you're gonna love and where I feel like your dollar goes a lot further. Bang for the buck is definitely gonna be there. The only problem though is that some of these towns are so small that there may not be a lot of inventory, but let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. I know I said let's get right into it, but I forgot to mention I'm really happy to report that all of these areas have an average price under $300,000, which is really, really good news. All right, now for real, let's get into it. Up first, we're gonna talk about one of my favorite towns in the Triad area, and that's gonna be Mocksville, North Carolina. Now, the reason that Mocksville is near and dear to my heart is because that was the first place I moved to when I moved to the North Carolina area. I'm originally from Southern California. Now, my sister still lives there and her entire family. My mom still lives there and her entire family. So I'm in Mocksville all the time. Every time there's a birthday party or some kind of event, I'm always in Mocksville. I sell a lot of real estate in Mocksville as well. Now, Mocksville is the fastest growing town in Davie County, which actually directly borders Forsyth County. In fact, from the middle of Mocksville to the middle of Winston, you're only about 25 miles away. Mocksville has a small and charming downtown area. It's one of the cutest, actually I gotta do a video about that, the cutest like downtown areas that we have to offer here in the Triad. Mocksville is definitely gonna be one of those on the list. Downtown Mocksville has a barbershop, music store, coffee shop, a couple restaurants, breweries, bars, ice cream spot, all kinds of cool little businesses. And it's all kind of in this setting of this like old, historic, charming little town, and it's so super cute. You just gotta see it. They have one of the prettiest festival of lights. Downtown Mocksville is also really cute because during the holidays, whatever holiday it is, especially like the Christmas time, but also 4th of July, they go all out. Everyone decorates, especially Main Street, Mocksville, so pretty. And honestly, you're not missing much when it comes to businesses inside of Mocksville, North Carolina. You've got all kinds of restaurants, all kinds of businesses. You got Walmart, you got big gas stations, there's a Sheetz, they're putting we're getting a Starbucks now, I heard, in Mocksville, which is causing an uproar in that little community, by the way. We got some new roundabouts that have been really, really irritating some people as well, but that's just some of the local drama. You don't have to worry about that for now. But despite all of the growth and explosion in population and businesses and stores and highway and everything else that's going on inside of Mocksville, it's honestly still a really cute, quaint, small town. It definitely has that small town feel. Now, obviously, the price ranges vary greatly in the town of Mocksville, but I'm actually report that so far in 2024, the average home price inside of Mocksville, North Carolina is around $280,000. And honestly, you're typically getting a little bit of land, so this is definitely gonna score high for me. Another crowd favorite, Walkertown, North Carolina. Walkertown is a town, actually got a listing right now in Walkertown with a half an acre. It's a foreclosure, about $80,000. If you're interested, let me know. Hopefully I sold it by the time you watch this video, but if not, then definitely let me know if you're interested. One of the popular things about Walkertown, North Carolina is it actually shares a border from Winston-Salem. So you're literally minutes from Winston-Salem. You can be in downtown Winston-Salem in like 10 minutes from Walkertown. And Walkertown is developing, it's still growing. There are many small mom and pop businesses. They've got a little bit of a little downtown, nothing too much there. A couple businesses, nothing major, but it's still, you know, very rural. So if you like the ruralness and you like being close to Winston, I think Walkertown is good for that. It also happens to border Winston-Salem and Kernersville, and it's still got a small population. So if you've got business, you know, if you got things to do in Kernersville and Winston, this is a good in the middle spot. So, you know, a lot of people like it for that reason as well. So far in 2024, the average home price inside of Walkertown, North Carolina is going to be $274,000. Now, that's really good news because it's a very low average price. However, I will say the competition in Walkertown is crazy. There's very little homes that hit the market, and when they do hit the market, if they're priced well, it's usually a very competitive situation. So I would definitely consider Walkertown. Just don't be surprised if everything that hits the market there gets sold before you even get a chance to go look at it. Up next, we're gonna talk about High Point, North Carolina. Now, I was kind of surprised when I was doing this research that High Point actually belongs on this list. And the reason that I was surprised is that the High Point is actually one of the main 3 cities inside of the Triad area of North Carolina. definitely the most affordable one. It's the smallest of the 3 cities, but it does have a population of over 100,000 people. One of the cool things about High Point, North Carolina is that it's actually the only city that I know of that's actually in 4 different counties. A lot of people know High Point, North Carolina as the home furnishings capital of the world. High Point is known for its furniture and textile industries and famously hosts the High Point Furniture Market twice a year. Now, if you are in High Point while the furniture market is going on, it is a nightmare. There's so many, especially in the downtown area, it's so crowded. It's so many people from literally all over the world. You can do a little quick research or a little YouTube video about it. It gets really, really crowded and it's really, really popular. It brings a lot of commerce to the area. So if you have anything to do with the textile or furniture businesses, then you're probably gonna flourish well in High Point, North Carolina. We're actually working on getting a listing in downtown High Point. It's gonna be like a condo near downtown. There's a ton of cool properties in High Point, North Carolina. That's have a lot of like little neighborhoods with character. And then they've got their own like High Point University going on. That's a big staple in the community. They also got their baseball team. A lot of like dining and fine dining and restaurants and breweries are popping up in High Point right now. High Point right now is going through like a little bit of a growth period. It's also, you know, attracting a lot of the younger professionals too, I feel like. So don't count out High Point. It might be a good idea to get into High Point now before it becomes the Charlotte or the Raleigh, you know what I mean? And even with all that going on, High Point, North Carolina has an average price of around $274,000. Now again, they have prices all over the place in High Point, North Carolina. The average though is $274,000. At $274,000, you can definitely get yourself a respectable 3-bedroom, 2-bath, maybe a little bit older with some historic, with you know some charm there, some craftsmanship, or you can get you like a newer home in a neighborhood, 1 level, 1,400 square foot in that price point. Now we're gonna talk about a town that everyone forgets about when they think about the Triad area of North Carolina. Before I do that though, I do want to remind you, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you know what to do. Give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I'm always here to help. I'm gonna leave you a bunch of links in the about section of this video so that you can give me a call, shoot me a text, or send me an email if there's anything at all I can do to help. And of course, do me a huge favor. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and leave me a comment so I know that you're watching. Now we're gonna talk about the town of Belews Creek. Belews Creek is one of those towns that doesn't have a ton of inventory, but man, it is popular. A lot of people like to live out there, especially because it's not too far from Winston Salem and it has a very mountainous rural setting. It feels like you're in a really charming lake area, mountain area. It has a small population and the focal point of the town is Belews Lake. Now Belews Lake is not a massive lake by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a really nice size. There are some really beautiful properties around Belews Lake. And a lot of my friends have boats out there because it's less crowded than High Rock Lake and definitely less crowded than Lake Norman. The lake is actually a man-made reservoir that serves as a cooling facility for Duke Energy. As of late, the lake has become a popular destination for boating and fishing and other water sports. Now around the lake, like I said, you're gonna find some very luxurious, very high-end properties, but you'll be happy to know that the average home price that's sold, and at least so far in 2024, is around $264,000 inside of Belews Creek. Now remember, again, unfortunately, there's not a ton of inventory out there, so things tend to get snatched up really quickly, but especially if you see some lake property, it can be quite affordable as compared to other lakes in the area. So if you dream to live on the lake, maybe you want to get into boating or water sports or you know, consider yourself a heavy fisherman, then that might be the town for you. Now we're gonna talk about a town called Tobaccoville. Now it's a funny name because, you know, back in the day, this was a very, the main cash crop here was tobacco, right? So that's where it got its name from. But when I have family or friends or even people from out of state looking to move to the area and buy a property, I tell them the name is Tobaccoville and they kind of laugh that it's actually, like there's really a place called Tobaccoville here. If you can get past the name though, it's actually a pretty cool area. It's 15 miles north of Winston-Salem. Convenient highway access, very rural, but it's very homey as well and everyone's super friendly. Now if you live in Tobaccoville, there's not much going on in Tobaccoville at all, except for like the RJ Reynolds facility, the big tobacco manufacturer that used to be actually still there, but just at a much smaller scale. But one reason you might want to live in Tobaccoville is that it's so far north that you're actually really close to like Mount Airy, which is a beautiful town. You're closer to the mountains, you're closer to Virginia. The fall, you know, it's definitely, when you get to Tobaccoville, it's definitely starting to have that mountain, you know, culture where people are, you know, more about that mountain life, hiking, outdoors sportsmen, you know, like camping. There's a lot of stuff like that going on in Tobaccoville. Small population, not a ton of real estate out there. There's not a lot of homes that hit the market, but I think Tobaccoville is probably good for someone that's like, you know, they like to be within 30, 40 minutes of a city, but you're okay with traveling to get much cheaper taxes and a much lower cost of living. The average home price in Tobaccoville so far in 2024 has been around $265,000 as well, kind of like Belews Creek. Another area you should definitely consider is going to be Archdale, North Carolina. Now, you've probably never heard of Archdale, North Carolina, but you might want to keep it on your radar. It's about 15 miles away from Greensboro and about 20 miles away from Winston-Salem, so it's a good kind of in the middle place if you're looking for somewhere convenient to the Triad. You also have 74 and 85, so highway access, you got it all there. Great spot for that. It's a very small town, under 20,000 people, so it's definitely growing now. Archdale, unfortunately, they have, some, chain restaurants and things of that nature. Not a ton of like locally owned spots. They have some amazing wedding venues out there, some amazing event centers out there for sure, but that's kind of all they're really known for that and for being kind of a quiet rural town. Now, because they're actually really close to High Point, North Carolina, they're very well known for, textiles and furniture, and they play a big role in the High Point furniture market as well. So a lot of manufacturing there in High Point, but you'll be happy to know that the average home price so far in 2024, like I mentioned, is around $255,000. So you get a lot of bang for your buck inside of Archdale, North Carolina. That's a town that I would not mind living in. Up next, guys, we're gonna talk about Thomasville, North Carolina, and a lot of you guys that have talked to me on the phone know that I love Thomasville. Thomasville is a really cool little town about 20 miles southeast of Winston-Salem. It's actually known as Chair City. They have this, it feels like random, huge, massive chair in their downtown area. And the reason for that is because of its connections to the High Point furniture market. They manufacture a lot of goods there, especially relating to the furniture market. But yeah, because of the huge influence in the furniture market, that's why they have that big chair. It's known as Chair City. I will say though that for the size of Thomasville, they have one of the cutest little downtowns that I've ever seen. A lot of art down there, a lot of things to do, a lot of pretty little coffee shops, restaurants. It's kind of long for a downtown of that size. Now in Thomasville, we're gonna be in closer to 35, 40,000 people there. So it's a little bit bigger of a town than Archdale, but we're still talking small town vibes for sure. Now, the reason that I think that Thomasville is like, the undiscovered next big thing that's still very affordable is that its location. It's really close to High Point. Winston-Salem, 20 miles away. Greensboro, North Carolina, 35 miles away. Highways are right there. So it has a lot to offer, and that's what I think people are still kind of like figuring it out. Now, you'll be happy to know that Thomasville, North Carolina actually has an average home price of around $243,000 so far in 2024, which means that, yeah, it's very affordable. You get a big bang for your buck there. So Thomasville, definitely keep that one on your list. The next three towns that we're gonna talk about are gonna be in Yadkin County, North Carolina, which is a little bit further away from Winston-Salem, a little bit further than these, are kind of similar in distance like Thomasville or Archdale certainly, but they're getting a little bit more rural, a little bit further away. So I just want to, you might want to cut off the video here if your biggest must-have is being close to Winston-Salem. Up first, we're going to talk about the town of Boonville, North Carolina. Not to be confused with the very popular Boone, North Carolina, which is actually 3-4 hours from here, but Boonville is a much smaller town in Yadkin County. This town is about 30 miles away from Winston-Salem, but again, convenient to highways. Very small population, under 10,000. Boonville is actually so small that they have one school in that town, and that's K through 12 all in one building. I would consider Boonville and a couple of the other neighborhoods in this list in the Yadkin County area if you're a big wine aficionado, if you're a big fan of the old wine, because that is wine country. Definitely Boonville would be great if you're looking to maybe homestead or have some land, have a farm, things of that nature, because on average you get like 1.8 of an acre in Boonville, because it is getting more rural out there, so you're gonna get more land. The other reason that I would move to Boonville is if I'm looking to save some money, because the average home price was just over $230,000. Now we're gonna talk about the town of East Bend. Now East Bend, I feel like is gonna become very popular, and I'll tell you why. First of all, it's the true definition of a small town. Super kind people, but I mean, there's a Family Dollar, a gas station, couple restaurants, and that's about it. You don't have any cell phone signal out in East Bend. You're still only about 19 miles away from Winston-Salem, from like downtown Winston-Salem, so it's not far at all. But one of the biggest reasons why I think it's the next little town to start really taking off is because it's next to Louisville. And so I would say like 10 years ago, Louisville started really getting some heat behind it, and people started building homes. And Louisville is now known as like a rural but very luxurious area. And I feel like the next town over, East Bend, in fact, we're already starting to see homes kind of like, is it East Bend, is it Louisville, like on the border, starting to be built like these massive, mega beautiful homes. And so I feel like if you buy some land out there and maybe build a home, the property value, I mean, obviously I'm not a future fortune teller here, but I mean, I would be bet that it's gonna go up drastically. They also have a lot of wineries. You're in the Yadkin Valley wine region, but overall, super quiet town, very, very under the radar. People don't know about it yet. That's why I'm bringing it to you guys here. So hopefully, hopefully you guys get a good deal out there. So if you don't mind having very low cell phone signal and you know, getting a lot of land with your purchase, you're gonna like this town of East Bend, because the average home price was actually right over $230,000 in East Bend as well. All right guys, so that was 10, but I got a bonus one for you guys, especially you guys that waited all the way to the end. This is gonna be the town of Jonesville, North Carolina. It's one of the oldest towns in Yadkin County, and because you're out west, you're actually considered to be inside of Jonestown. You're the gateway to the Blue Ridge Mountains. Blue Ridge Mountains, a beautiful mountain range in the area that we go up there every fall just to drive through and smell that crisp fall air and watch the leaves change, which we're actually getting ready to be in that season right now. So I'm super excited. This is my peak in the fall. This is where I am my best self. Surprisingly, Jonesville is actually only 30 miles away from Winston-Salem, so still not too far. You're right off of Highway 77, so getting to Charlotte, to Statesville, back to Winston, 421, everything is right there. So highway convenience is a big plus. Tiny, tiny population. We're talking under 10,000 people. And if you're a history buff, you're gonna love it. There's a lot of historic, like, Civil War battles that happen in and around Jonesville. Also, my wine people, again, Yadkin County wine region, you're gonna have plenty of wineries all over the place. Breweries are popping up, and they don't really have too much going on in their downtown, but it is growing. But by far, and this is gonna be unbelievable, my jaw dropped when I saw this number, the average home price inside of Jonesville so far this year is around $200,000. $200,000, that's crazy. Where can you get a home for around $200,000 in America right now? So that's gonna be all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching and stick around with me, and I can't wait to see you guys next week.